This is Matchweek. You are joined by myself, Ardi and Mini. We discuss everything soccer from the highs and the lows in the sporting week to the news that is relevant to you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Listening live, top of the hour on WMSC Upper Montclair. And this is Matchweek. Guys, I am so sorry if my voice is a little scratchy at the moment. I've been through a whole bunch of stuff here in Europe. Yes, I am coming to you live from Europe at the moment. We have the technology to do this over here. It's a little crazy, a mobile setup. But hey, I would not miss this for the world. And we got to give a shout out to the man holding it back down in the studio. It is Mazz on Matchweek. Yep, that's right. You got another 4 hours of Brandon Mazz Marazzo on the air.
Yeah!
We out
Come
here.
on, Mazz. How we doing?
We out here, bro.
We out
Come
here.
on. Ardi, I don't know if you could hear it, but I just hit it with a yeah, Lil John, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we here.
I missed out on it. I wish I could have heard it.
It's definitely coming through the recording here. We had to make some things happen here, but the lovely people here at 90.3 WMSC have the equipment to make it happen. And SDS Match Week.
Matchweek. There we go. I was waiting for you to say that. But yeah, so half of it is WMSC's equipment. Half of it is my own personal equipment. As Mazz can see me, hunched over in a corner with my microphone and pod track recorder, trying to make sure I came in clear for you guys.
I mean, we're here, bro. I don't know how we made
We're
this
here.
happen. Technology is a beautiful thing these days because I got to be honest, Ardi, when you called me to do this, I was just like, I have no clue how to do this. I need someone else here. But apparently all I needed was your soft, soothing voice to guide me, and we're here.
I'm not gonna lie, my voice is absolutely demolished at the moment because I will not lie to the audience. I've been having a lot of fun over here. I'm gonna leave it at that. No details, but I will say the trip did start off miserably with what I had to go through to get to Europe, guys.
I mean, Ardi, I believe you took 2 flights to get over to Albania?
No, so I took a flight from Newark International to London Heathrow to Dusseldorf, Germany to Tirana, Albania.
3 flights to get to Albania.
And then let's not forget all the trains I took to get to Old Trafford, which we'll talk about shooting that episode in a moment. But yeah, it's been a hectic journey. I'm here in Albania, no clothes. I've lost all of my Matchweek t-shirts. I barely have one Manchester United jersey left, but you know what? We're here. We're living out our vacation.
I mean, dude, you stopped at Old Trafford, although you did lose the T-shirts. You lost the merchandise. Heartbreaking. But you did make it to Old Trafford. Did you ever think you were going to make it there?
I did think I was going to make it there. That's the thing. Like, this trip, like, I think Mazz knows me pretty well to the fact that I'm a very stubborn man. Like, anything in life, when I put my mind to it, I will do it at any way possible.
You were the
It's
absolute epitome of stubbornness.
Exactly. Whether it's the good kind or the bad kind, I'm there for it. You know, that's just how it is. So we're gonna do a little quick recap of like sort of some like BTS behind the scenes of the Manchester United video that was released online. I really hope that the audience enjoyed it. It was a fun trip. It was a little nerve wracking actually because when I got there, security was like worried about me.
I mean, they should be. It's you, Ardi. If I saw Ardi
understand.
with his energy, just the ray of sunshine, I'd be like, why is this guy so happy? Who is this guy? What's he doing here?
I looked crazy because I looked so disheveled, so tired, with the biggest smile on my face. I have a carry-on on me with a huge backpack, just standing in front of security, like, please let me in.
Please let me in.
I've gone through too much right now, not to somehow make it like somewhat into the stadium by just going to the team store, you know.
I mean, didn't security at Old Trafford throw you off the premise after a couple of minutes of recording?
So here's why. So here's the story behind it. So they have to search me down everything to make sure like I'm not some like 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 you gotta understand if a guy walks in with two big bags that are like huge that you don't know what's inside of it, you get a little worried being a stadium, you know.
Sadly, this is the day that we live in. I do work in event security for a stadium over at MetLife Stadium. I understand, because I'd probably be like, "What is this guy doing?"
Yeah, he's like, what? Like everyone was thinking, like, wow, this American, like we don't even like the club this much, and he's pulling up over here. You know? So, I don't know. All jokes aside, security, I think are just as much as fans as the fans are at Manchester. But anyways, when I got into there, everyone's like looking at me with these two bags, and I'm like, I've like accrued a crowd at this point, like telling the story of how I've gotten to Old Trafford, what I had to go through, and then I buy some stuff. Granted, in England, is very expensive. I'm gonna tell you all this right now. The British pound is not nice to the dollar. It is not nice.
I believe the British pound comes out to like $1.07 at this point. Might be more.
Well, I'm just gonna say this. So I had to convert over $350 for train fare and buying some food and clothes and stuff just in case, and that turned into 240 British pounds. And everything over there is priced out as if it's like the American price. So, for example, if you want to get a bottle of water, if you're to go to like any random restaurant in the U.S., you'll get a bottle of water for $2.50, right?
Hopefully.
And in England. So in England, they have it priced as £2.50.
Okay, which
so
comes out
when you convert that to the USD, that's basically $5 for a bottle of water.
Ow! I mean, dude, I can't even fathom paying $5 for a bottle of water. But these are the times we live in.
Yeah, but that's basically how it was though, because like for that they have to do it based off of their currency and how people make money over there. It's sort of like cost of living in the U.S. and that stuff is priced out. Anyways, this is not an economics podcast. This is a soccer show.
SDS Match Week. This is Match Week.
No. Este es matemáticas.
No,
but all jokes.
No matemáticas, man. This is Match Week. So let's get to the football, bro.
The only math we care about is points that and our teams in the table. That's really it. But
and goal scored.
And goal scored. Yes. Anywho, back to the story. So I get out of buying some stuff. Right. I got some like memorabilia, like for the house, like some magnets, some signs, and thank God, I bought the coach's training kit. Because if I didn't buy that, I would have nothing to wear for the first 5 days of being here in Albania. So,
oh yeah,
dude, you got to be walking around swagged out. Am I right?
Yeah, you got to be swagged out. So the funny thing was that as I got out, like security's asking me questions. So like, oh, so why do you have so much camera equipment? I'm like, oh, like I have a radio show at WMSC 90.3. Like, we got to shout out the radio station.
Upper Montclair.
I also. Of Montclair, and I also have a podcast you can listen to online when we're not live on air, so either or if the audience prefers it, but that's how it is. If you want to come here, if you don't, that's fine. But anywho, they're asking me about it, like, oh my god, yeah, and then like they're sort of testing me, right? They're trying to think, oh, how much of a real Manchester United fan like this American is, right? So they start like laying down questions, like my opinions about stuff, how we're talking about it, and like at the end of the conversation, they look at me, they're like they're dumbfounded at a point because they don't understand like how someone can like be as upset as they are at the club, but like explain it in like a blissful way,
I mean, if you're a Manchester United fan, things are on the upward trend, but you still have to be upset, I guess. Would you disagree?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. These past couple of weeks, like, so when I had shot the video, it was a different time in how the transfer business was going, right? But now with when the video was released, we had signed a couple players. Things have sort of changed a bit, and it's looking really prosperous for the club at the moment. I mean, preseason has been really exciting, really fun. It's really happy to see. But hey, we're here. It's happening. Just to make sure that we don't divulge, because I want to talk more about some of the transfers that have happened. I want to make sure that we cover a lot more. I want to just make sure we finish this story. But anyways, what was I gonna say? So I finished talking to security and everything. I'm like, yeah, like I was planning on maybe shooting a video here. Like, so so here's the thing. You are not allowed to film in front of Old Trafford without the rights of the club. Like, you need to get rights from the club in order to film in front of Old Trafford.
Very interesting.
So like I was like, I felt really defeated at a certain points, and I go to the side of the bit because I'm like trying to find a restroom at this point, and the guy like who's security, I will not say his name. I supposedly he was security. I don't know what he was allegedly. But he had came to the side of me, and he had said, "Hey, in front of the Sir Matt Busby United, behind that statue, you can sort of hide behind it, where the cameras won't see you and where security won't really acknowledge you. So if you hide behind there for a bit, you should be okay to film and no one should bother you because technically you're close to the parking lot, and it's also out of sight, out of mind thing. Security doesn't want to have to see you and have to take care of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is that I'm behind the statue. I'm by myself for a little while, for like 15 or so minutes. And I was filming behind that statue for at least 45 minutes because I was trying to get some like shots done for online. I wanted to take some pictures and stuff. So I wanted to leave the remainder of the time to actually shooting the episode. So we're shooting the episode and everything. The whole entire time I have my head on the swivel, as you can notice. If you watched on the video, that's what you can sort of notice, is that my head was on a swivel and everything. And from there, we were just doing our thing, working, trying to get the show done, and then a crowd of people starts surrounding. That's the video doesn't show it because I was sort of like facing me, but like I would say about 50 Manchester United fans start surrounding me and like start listening to me. They're like, yeah, we like the sound of that. Yeah, who's this guy? Woo! Like it was sort of like I was like preaching to a choir or something. You know what I'm saying? And then that's where like security pulls up and they're like, we're gonna have to sadly ask you to leave, or they gave me the option. It's like you either have to leave the premises right now, or you have to stop filming and delete the footage. So
Yeah, I'm
I was
leaving
like,
the premise right there.
No. So I sort of did, like my Ardi wizardry with technology. I was like, oh yeah, totally. I'll delete the footage, no problem. So I had a mess up take on so what I'm using right now to make sure my audio is coming clear is my PodTrack recorder. So I had taken the SIM card out from the PodTrack recorder, not the camera one, and then I had picked a file where I had made a couple like mistakes / outtakes. And I showed myself deleting that file of audio being deleted, not video. And they're like, "Oh, okay, you're fine. So if you want, you can finish taking the pictures, and you just got to leave. That's it." I was like, "All right, yeah, perfect, no problem." So I was able to shoot my video, be done, and then leave while shooting more pictures of the stadium.
So, Artie, what I'm hearing is that you conned the Old Trafford security into filming longer.
Allegedly.
So he said potentially. We're not sure what really happened. We weren't over in Manchester.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story, is that I was able to see the love of my life's stadium. Yes, that's right. Manchester United is the love of my life. I'm very leave me.
It's been a rough relationship, huh?
Rough relationship. It's been a commitment. I can say that much. It's been a commitment. But yeah, that was fun. And then my traveling debacle starts after that. So as soon as I'm done at Old Trafford, I take the train to get back to the main station I have to get to, which is Manchester Piccadilly Station, which is the main station to get back to London so I can get to London Heathrow. Okay. Excuse me, sorry. So then from my train in Manchester Piccadilly, how do I explain it? So when you buy a ticket for a big station like that, it's sort of like when you book a flight and you have to book your round trip, right? So it's the same thing with a train. So I got myself a train ticket with a return as well, which was about £98 and 12 pence.
So you're talking well over $100.
Yeah, so however you want to convert it, you can convert it. It's fine. So there was only by the time I was done filming and doing everything, there was only 2 time slots left to go back to the station and make it back for my train ride. So if I had known what was going to happen, I would have stopped to the Nando's near Old Trafford and enjoyed some great Portuguese food. But didn't get to happen. Really sad about that, but is what it is. So we get to the station, and from there it was hectic because I was supposed to take an 8:15 train ride, and that train ride ends up getting canceled, and then there was another one for 9:15, and then the one for 9:15 didn't arrive until 10:30 at night. So and then while we were on,
so you're just stranded there.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting there in the train station. I ended up getting some Burger King from England, which I have to say, Burger King is way better in Europe. For anyone who travels in Europe, you can trust Burger King. Burger King is actually good over there.
If you want.
If you want.
That's completely on you. That is questionable to me still.
That is not a paid promotion from Burger King. That is just my horrendous experience of travel at this current time. But anyways, so we were there, and I get the food, and so the train doesn't leave till 10:30, and then from 10:30 the train stops in the middle of one of the stops an hour into the train ride because there was another train on the same track as us by accident. So they had to swap the other train off that track because of how delayed our train was. So that was another 45-minute wait for that train to move. And then from there, we were able to get all the way back into London, Euston, where I had to go. And at this point, all the train rides I expected on taking back to the airport were closed and done. The train doesn't start back up till 5 in the morning next day. And my flight's at 8 a.m. So I didn't want to risk it by taking a train at 3 hours for my flight and risk anything. So what I end up doing is that I have to stand in sort of the, I wouldn't say it's not a nice part of London, to say the least. It's the part where you sort of have to worry a bit, and just sitting there. There's some crazy stuff ensuing that we can't talk about on the show. Just like minding my own business, hiding to the side, making sure nothing happens. And then finally, I was able to find a taxi that wouldn't overcharge me, because a lot of the taxis were trying to charge me £90 to take me to the airport at 1 o'clock in the morning, which was meanwhile only a 20-minute drive. So I had to keep waiting and waiting until I found a guy who would finally only charge me £55, which was great. Meanwhile, still a lot of money, but better than paying £80-90. And I finally get to the airport at, what was it? It was 3:30 in the morning, finally.
And that's when you take the flight?
No, so my flight was at 8 a.m., but I still had to check in. And by the time I got there at 3:30 in the morning, no one was there to check anybody in for flights.
So you were there 5 hours early for a flight?
Yes.
Okay. And then you hop on this flight, I'm assuming, and is this where...
So here's what happens. So then now I have to wait until someone for a check-in is there. And no one gets there to start checking in people for flights, which, by the way, the earliest flight that morning is at 5:50 through Turkish Airlines. No one gets there till 4:45 start checking people in.
Interesting. So you're just hanging around and then finally get checked in.
So here's the thing. So you know how in the U.S. we have like different check-in zones for different flights and airlines and everything. It's all organized and all neat. At London Heathrow, there's only check-in zone A, B, C, D. If you are within a certain sector of Europe, you'll be in that check-in zone. And with Europe, there's a lot of different countries you could travel to because of how small the countries are.
Yep.
So I was stuck in the part where it's like all the Eastern countries. So everywhere from Germany to Russia to like Southern Europe, that's where all the countries were included. So think about how long that check-in line is.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting there a while.
So even though I was one of the first ones there, Mazz, first one there, I had to wait 2 hours to check in.
You sound like me waiting for Ronaldo to get a transfer.
Never going to happen, but, we move on. Anyways, oh, wait, hold on. I think I have an alarm going off.
Come on, Ardi, you're killing me. Anyway, so Ardi's over here at the train station. The airport. Eventually, you got to get on a flight, right? You head over to Germany?
So here's what happens. I finally check in, but they make me check in my carry-on because my carry-on was too heavy from the US. So I check in my carry-on. It's like, I would say 9 to 10 kg, which is, I think, about 22 pounds.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
It's overweight.
Yeah.
So you got to check
It's
it in.
over 8. But luckily, I didn't have to pay for it because in London, I was allowed 2 free checked bags.
Okay.
Which, if I had known prior to what was about to happen to all my clothing, I would have balled out on some clothing to make sure I had. But anyways, move on. So I check in for my flight. And when I get to the terminal and everything and try to find my gate, it's being told your gate will be assigned at 7:50. Meanwhile, boarding starts for my flight at 7:30 and my flight's at 8 a.m.
Okay. So now what?
So now I have to I'm basically detective mode searching for my gate. I'm trying to tactical thinking, deduction of oh, the X, Y, and Z is here, so I must be over here and stuff. So I finally find it. And so there was supposed to be check-in groups, priority check-in and normal check-in. Threw it out of the window, so I had to wait in the back of the line, even though I had priority check-in, but we live. It's okay. And finally, I board my flight. We fly to Germany. And as soon as you land in Germany in the gate, the first gate you get out of, there's automatically passport control, which, okay, you know what? Makes sense. Get it out of the way now instead of walking all the way across the airport to do it, whatever. So I do my passport control, check in, and then I have to walk literally from one edge to the airport all the way to the other edge of the airport to get to my terminal and to get to my gate. So as I'm 3/4 of the way through my walk through the airport to get there, I have to hit another passport control. Meanwhile, each passport control line is about an hour, hour and 30.
So you had to hit, yeah, no thank you. I would have given up on the trip right there.
So then luckily, because I had a decent layover, 5 hours, I was able to make it to my gate.
Okay, so you
Now,
get to the
same
gate.
thing. So I get to the gate. Same thing here. There's supposed to be a priority check-in and a normal check-in.
And
Didn't happen. There was no. So then I have to. So my flight was delayed 45 minutes. So I tell my taxi driver who's going to pick me up in Albania, hey, my flight's being delayed 45 minutes to an hour. So come at this time so you don't have to wait forever for me. So Mazz, at this point, I am exhausted. I have not slept in 3 days. I have been running on Monsters and what's it called, the British Gatorade, Lucozade, I think it's called.
I have no clue. I didn't even know there was a British Gatorade. Does it taste good?
Gatorade does not. Yeah, but Gatorade does not exist in England for some reason. But so I have my Lucozade, which basically tastes like a Sunny D but healthy. I don't know how they did it, but it was weird. And so that's all I was surviving off of. And then when you're falling asleep and your head starts bobbing, you're trying to keep yourself awake, and then you knock out. So I fell asleep. I'm boarding on my flight. I fell asleep for 2 hours. I wake up. The plane still hasn't even taken off yet.
So you've just been sitting in the terminal, well, on the runway, I guess.
Yes, for 2 hours.
And it never goes. Okay, so the plane takes off.
No, but here's the thing. So the plane had to wait another half hour after I woke up because supposedly there was too many planes leaving at one point. So you had to wait for certain planes to exit at certain times.
Okay, so the plane finally takes off.
Plane finally takes off. I land in Albania. I get to passport control. It takes 2 seconds, in and out, no problem. And then I go to the baggage claim.
And
The very first bag to come out was my carry-on. I checked in London. Oh, lovely. My carry-on's out already. That was the thing I was a bit worried about. It's fine, but I got it. Now I'm just going to wait for my big luggage. I start waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
How long you waiting?
Waiting. I waited an hour. Never came.
An hour, and it never came.
Yes, I waited to the point where basically everyone left the airport but me.
So, Artie, so you end up in Albania after all these obstacles just for them to misplace your clothes.
Not just clothes, like all of like I had spent a decent amount of money on clothes for this vacation. Clothes that I've had for like years. All of the Red Bull apparel that was given to me from the New York Red Bulls. All of my workout clothes that I had from America. My cleats and my futsal shoes are now gone. I have basically half of my sneakers that I owned were now gone. I only have like 2 pairs of shoes over here, and I have to live off of that.
So
And,
what I'm hearing is that everything's gone and you're over in Albania enjoying the family, but you got nothing.
So I actually had to go to a local store, which is basically the equivalent of an H&M called Mazz. You're gonna love this. It is called LC Waikiki.
No, it's not. Stop it. That is the greatest name for a store I've ever heard in my life. So apparently, so you end up at this store that ends with Waikiki, which is fantastic. Artie, during this entire time, do you know how much stuff you missed in soccer news? It's off the charts.
I looked through. So Lisandro Martinez officially signs with Manchester United. Manchester United secures Christian Eriksen. Chelsea secured Raheem Sterling. Koulibaly was like supposedly seen in Chelsea doing a medical. Zinchenko was now rumored to go to Arsenal. A lot. So basically, I was keeping track of everything until I got to Old Trafford. So I sort of knew of some rumblings of stuff, but I left it there. And as soon as after Old Trafford hit, it was like a wave of news that I didn't think it was possible to miss out on. I didn't think like they chose that day. Everyone decided, you know what, we're getting our business done on July 11th, July 12th. That is when all of our business will be done. That's it.
That's what it felt like. Honestly, I mean, there's just been so many transfers. I mean, do you want to like run through this real quick?
So here's the thing. So I made a list for Mazz because I had to do a lot of research of missing out on stuff, and I made a list of all the confirmed transfers in what had happened in the sort of what I deemed these to be were like I would say like actual like big money move transfers, like transfers that are going to make a difference. So we're gonna start off with Raheem Sterling to Chelsea. We talked about this a lot on the show with Besmir. The show was expecting it to happen. We didn't think anything less of it. We knew that it was a potential possibility that should have been happening.
Yeah, I mean, now here we are. I mean, do you like the move though?
Here's the thing. I spoke about this when we did Ink or Sink on it. If the move is anything less than 55 million, I think it's a ink. I think it's great for Chelsea. If it's anything above that, I thought it'd be a problem because even though you're strengthening your squad, you're giving too much money to a club that already has money. And B, I think I'm one of the few people that say this without like trying to pointlessly target Raheem Sterling. Like he's just not worth that price tag. Like I've said this about plenty of other players. Like Harry Maguire is not worth that type of price tag either, and so on and so forth. And I do believe it's a good move. I'm a little worried about it because it really does help strengthen the Chelsea front line. And it brings in a senior figure. We have to understand this. And this is where I always give Raheem Sterling credit for. Raheem Sterling has been playing professionally in this game since 16, 17 years old for Liverpool. He had a stunning 3 seasons where Liverpool were on the cusp of winning a title with Steven Gerrard still in the team. You had a Luis Suarez going supernova. This is when Daniel Sturridge was considered a top talent in Europe. Like, this was no joke of a Liverpool team still at that time. And then when he leaves, he sort of starts this dynasty with Man City, the Pep Guardiola dynasty. He's there for the beginning of it. He is the guy who is sort of like Pep's jewel in the crown until Kevin De Bruyne gets there, with like Sergio Aguero and company and so forth. But just to put that to perspective, this is the type of footballer we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about a guy who nonetheless is in the prime of his career at 27 years old and going to Chelsea, who has a bunch of money to spend.
Well, here's the thing. Like, this is the one critique we always give about Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling benefits a lot from the amount of chance creation that City has. So he is afforded the fact that he can take about 9 to 10 shots a game and score goals, right? Which is, I mean, people make that argument for every footballer, but when you're in a Man City side and when it's the type of chances where they serve you up on a silver platter, you know, it's a discussion that has to be had.
I mean, call me crazy. Whenever I think of Raheem Sterling, I just always think of super sub to me. So for him to be starting, I mean, like, we've definitely seen him start for City, but you've always seen Pep like mess with the lineups, and I think he's always done better where the spotlight isn't necessarily on him. I'm really interested to see how it's going to be over at Chelsea because he is expected to be in the starting lineup basically every week now.
Well, I feel like that's sort of harsh on Raheem Sterling fact because he's someone who I think starts in nearly every Premier League team, bar Liverpool. I think that's the only team he does not get a start in anymore.
Fair. But can he do it with the spotlight on him?
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. Like with Chelsea, it's going to be a lot of maneuvering and figuring out what's going to happen because you have the likes of Mason Mount, you have the likes of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech. Is he going to be leaving the club now because Raheem Sterling's in this team? Like, there's many factors that are being played into this and that have to be figured out. You know.
Absolutely. But I think that we'd be fine with it. I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, just last year for Man City in the Prem, 13 goals, 5 assists. I mean, you're getting production out of him. They have so many names. I think if he can be the focus, I think he'll actually get more product out of him. But it's all whether or not he can come up to the pressure that he's going to be under now because he seems like he's going to be the guy.
I don't think all the pressure is on him, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think the English media will because they love to target Raheem Sterling.
Always.
And unrightfully so. They unrightfully do target Raheem Sterling a lot. But I think besides the English media, I think no other person has an expectation for him. No one is expecting him to come in and to go supernova, score 20-plus goals, get 15-plus assists, and be an animal. I think they're expecting someone who's going to be a seasoned professional, someone who's going to help organize a team and bring it to a level that it might not have seen before. Like I may be thinking a level higher than the level that they were when they won the Champions League, and that was even though that was a decent Chelsea team, that wasn't the level that team could hit. You know.
So here's my question. Obviously, you think that Sterling's going to be a better addition. If you had to put a cap on like the goals and assists, what do you think he's going to be? What's the damage he's going to be able to do for Chelsea this season?
I think he gets 20-plus goal contributions.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. I like that.
Yeah.
So moving on here, who's our next player, Ardi?
So this one, I'm honestly disappointed in. I mean, Bayern Munich, they lost a few center back options, but the fact that they were able to bring in a Matthias de Ligt is actually crazy.
It's insane.
Someone of his stature who is a solid center back. Granted, hasn't had the time of it at Juve. I think that's just because he never fit Juve's system. I think Juve's a mess. They don't have a solid manager right now. With bringing back someone like Allegri, who should have never came back to the club, having to play under an Andrea Pirlo, it was their first year being a manager. He's had a tough time of it, you know, and maybe going to Bayern, having more security, having actual like a coach in Julian Nagelsmann, who was used to the Red Bull system, had to always train youth. I think it's going to benefit him tremendously, but he could have gone to a City or a Chelsea easily and been a starter, in my personal opinion.
I'm with you, but
even a Barcelona, or he could have even gone to Real, and he would have given Eder Militao and David Alaba a run for their money.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. This is a guy who should be playing at the highest of stages, and the fact that Bayern loses a Sule and instantly plugs the gap with De Ligt is just absolutely insane to me. Like that was a quality move.
But then plus we have to understand they've brought in more security on that right flank now, bringing in someone like a Mazraoui on a free from Ajax, who is also Matthias de Ligt's like prior teammate. Like they've played together before, which is now a huge boost to that back line.
You know what else?
Now you're gonna have a.
Oh, go ahead.
Listen to this. You're gonna have a start of Alphonso Davies,
Yep.
Upamecano, de Ligt, and Mazraoui. If that's not one of the top back lines in Europe, I don't know what is.
I mean, you're talking about a lot of speed there. And there's rumors that they're possibly switching to a 3-5-2 with that lineup.
I mean,
they have the speed to do it.
Yeah, but it's not about speed. Like at the end of the day, like speed does have a factor in sort of the mobility of players and how they're able to move through the field. But doing a 3 at the back with the players they have is not worth it. Because personally, you wouldn't want to put all your eggs in one basket, have all of your center backs starting right now because they realistically only have 3. They have Lucas Hernandez,
Yep,
Dan Upamecano, and Matthias de Ligt. Those are their only 3. So you're better off having the back 4 where you have an Alphonso Davies who, even though like he could play in a deep block, like they have a system where either Mazraoui can stay back and Davies can go up, or Davies stay back and Mazraoui go up. Like that's the quality they have, and that's a system that is the Bayern system. Like Bayern plays your 4-3-3, whether it's a false 9 or whether it's with 2 holding DMs, or no matter what, they play a German 4-3-3 tactical. Balls through, harsh, strong. That's what that team is.
Yeah, I just feel like when you have a Joshua Kimmich in that lineup, and now that you have a De Ligt coming there, you have so many capabilities, and you can really mess with a couple of things. Because not only are these players quality, they're very young too. They're gonna be there. I expect De Ligt to be there for a long time, you know, and they're definitely gonna be messing around with some things. It's a real interesting time for Bayern Munich.
Here's the thing. I do have to say that someone like a Dayon is going to be very excited about how the Bayern Liga is going to be even more just called Bayern Munich League.
Oh, the Bundesliga? Yeah, the Bundesliga is just... It's going all the way to Bayern.
Look at Bayern's business.
Yep.
Look at that. They've brought in a Sadio Mane, a Mazraoui, a Gravenberch, a De Ligt. Plus, they've re-signed players on contract like a Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané.
This team's getting
supposedly
really
Josh.
What was that?
Still, like you still have. Supposedly the Englishman Josh Richards is leaving. He's gonna go to Crystal Palace or Nottingham. So they're. I think they're gonna be in the green. Like they're gonna be in profit this transfer window with selling Lewandowski as well.
Dude,
that is the only risk done.
I'm gonna be honest,
which leads into. So just as like a smooth transition, our next discussion is Lewandowski to Barcelona.
Yeah, that's why I was taking us, dude. It is. How do they have money? I don't understand. This is supposed to be a club who Messi isn't going to be there because they're into financial troubles. The club was close to folding during COVID, and now here they are signing the best striker of honestly probably the last 5 years, if not more.
Well, here's the thing. Let's review Barcelona's business, right? So this past couple of days, they've secured Lewandowski and they've also secured Rafinha. Not only that, they've re-signed Ousmane Dembele to a new 4-year deal or a 3-year deal or something. He's gotten a new contract. They also were able to bring in Christensen, a Kessié. They might sell Memphis Depay, but when you have someone like a Lewandowski, you still have Aubameyang there. You still have Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati. Who cares? Sell Depay, make your money back.
And they're linked to Bernardo Silva, one of the most creative players in the world today. I don't understand how this is happening.
Yeah, but I think they're 100% going to lose Frankie just because he's not going to want to drop his wages. And rightfully so. If you sign a player to wages, you promise him to pay him. And then now you're saying you don't want to pay him, you're going to have to sell him. That's not fair to the player. He's doing his job. It's not his fault. You can't manage your finances.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, how confident are you in Bayern in La Liga this year? I'm sorry, in Barca in La Liga this year. Ardi?
I mean, it's Barca and La Liga is not going to be any joke whatsoever. Let's make that very clear. Granted, both Real and Barca have strengthened their teams tenfold to what they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not no guarantee. Like even last year wasn't even a guarantee. Last year it was still a close like 2-man race. I didn't see Atletico getting close. I didn't really see any other team getting close, to be honest.
So you think in La Liga is still going to be a 2-team race right now? But does Madrid still have the edge for you, even though you just had a Rafinha and a Lewandowski to Barca?
Well, here's the thing: Real brought in a Tchouaméni.
Yep.
They've also brought in Rudiger, which is gonna impact that team tremendously. So I wouldn't doubt that whatsoever.
Interesting. So, moving on here. I mean, you mentioned it before. Your guy, the Man United, picked up Lisandro Martinez. How you feeling about the move?
I'm curious about it because if we're still in talks with getting Frankie De Jong, which I know is still seen as crazy to a lot of people, but it's still a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Where does Lisandro play? Because we just brought in Tyrell Malacia, who I think is going to supercharge that left back spot, making Luke Shaw have to work. So that takes a position away from Lisandro. You could throw him at center back, but if that's the case, you're going to have to play him in a back three. So then now, who is going to be your starting midfield? Like, we haven't really reinforced the midfield that much with losing so many players. And then if you want him to play as a back two in that defense, then who is starting, Varane or Maguire? And then what's going to happen with either of them? Like, meanwhile, I'm still on that get rid of Harry train, but it's not as easy, you know?
No, I feel you. So do you think this Martinez signing was just more of a, hey, we're just trying to get him on the books in case we miss out on a Frankie De Jong?
I think Lisandro was very necessary because especially to someone like a Ten Hag, there's no real security in what some of these players are bringing. You know, you only have one guarantee with Bruno, and that's if he has a solid season. And through what we've seen so far in preseason, it's sort of like he's finding his form again. And then you also have to factor in how the rest, because we don't know what's gonna happen with the youth. We've seen Zidane, Iqbal, and we've seen Hannibal going off in preseason. We still have Fred. We still have McTominay, even though like McFred gets made fun of all the time. Fred's looking sharper and sharper with having Ronaldo there, and even now in Ten Hag sort of lighting a fire under him, and he's looking the part now. You know, he's playing his position that he's always wanted to play, which is a box to box at United. So then what happens to Adani and then for Frankie? Like, there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and there just needs to be a definite to what's going to happen, you know?
So, as a Man United fan, how excited are you for this next season?
I'm not going to lie. I was not excited until I've been watching the preseason friendlies, like seeing a Martial rejuvenated for some reason. Like, you thought when he was playing at Sevilla he was gonna score, but he was still miserable. But then now being back with the lads, like being re-involved into the team, honestly, I'm gonna say this right now, not having Ronaldo there for that tour, it really looks like that team has been rejuvenated.
So do you think, so we've heard multiple instances from people all last season that Ronaldo's the problem at United. Do you believe this?
Look, I've made this point before. I think it's unfair to say Ronaldo's the problem when Ronaldo saved us a handful of times. But it's also the fact of, like, look at the trail that Ronaldo leaves. Like, at Real Madrid, he left a bit of a trail, but Real fixed themselves up, and you've had a Karim Benzema be a superstar ever since he left.
Yep.
At Juventus, he sort of left them worse than when he came. But you can't put that on Ronaldo or you can't really put that on the club because like the club's had issues, and Ronaldo is sort of Ronaldo when you throw him into a team.
Yeah,
But then also,
go ahead.
at United, you can't have a player like Ronaldo at United without having security in what you have. So Ronaldo works at a Real because they have security of what they have there as Real. Like Real is Real Madrid. Whereas as of late, Manchester United has not been the Manchester United that Ronaldo knows, nor that what the world knows.
Fair enough. I mean, I think for him, I mean, let's be honest, the guy's 37, and even so, even though you have the age factor, I mean, he's still arguably one of the top players out there. It's just plugging a hole like from a guy that's that big. I mean, he leaves a gap. If you're not making moves, if you look at like Juventus, they weren't really making moves when he was there. So I don't know. I really can't put the blame there. But then again, maybe again, that might be the bias showing. But speaking of Juventus, they've had a couple of moves in this transfer window.
Yeah, so Juve have brought in two phenomenal players. They've brought in Di Maria, which was a great signing. Di Maria, honestly, Messi, I never liked that move of him going to PSG because, yet again, it's Di Maria being forced to the wayside for no reason. Someone who has been a quality player of this generation. Like, people forget, even with Ronaldo at Real Madrid, he single-handedly dragged them to a final. Let's not forget this.
Yep.
Yes, Ronaldo's quality. Yes, that team was quality at the time. But you cannot forget how good Angel Di Maria was.
I'll tell you
I'll
tell you right now, I would go as far to claim that Angel Di Maria is the best Argentinian on the planet right now in current form.
Yeah, we're talking about current form with Messi, but it's tough because we can't say Messi's not up there just because he's had a down season for the first time in his career. Same thing as Ronaldo. Ronaldo's technically had a down season for the first time in his career, even though it was still 18 goals.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being a player and having 18 goals in the Premier League, one of the hardest leagues in the world to play in. Having 18 goals is very impressive. And still, it's considered a down season for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just the level that those two have been coming at. But if you've been watching the Argentinian national team, I mean, Di Maria just looks like he's on another level at times. He's so comfortable in national play. And now that he can be the guy at Juve and kind of be the focus of like the attack, I think that's going to be really quality for him.
Honestly, if there was no Messi in this era, it would be a Ronaldo Di Maria conversation, to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm not saying this to overhype the player just because he used to play at Manchester United. Like, I'm not saying that for any sort of bias. Like, honestly, his worst spell was at United. Like, his worst stint in his career was at Manchester United. Granted, he had a really rough time of it with being in a team that was just fresh off of being 7th place. A team where there's Memphis Depay as a youngling figuring out where he's going to be. A team, or even a situation where in his first 3 months of living in the country, his whole house gets broken into and robbed. Like, he did not have it easy at being in Manchester. So that's where you sort of have to like give him a break. And honestly, I give any player a break that's been in Manchester United. Look at Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay, phenomenal for PSV Eindhoven. Went to United, had a bit of a stink. Then went to Lyon, went supernova. Probably was like that. There's a reason why he got to move to Barcelona. Like, Memphis Depay is a class player.
Now, you just mentioned if there was no Messi, you'd put Di Maria up there. My only question to you is, where do you rank Luis Suarez within those four?
Suarez, I would say, is below Di Maria.
Ooh,
Granted, I know Mazz, but you have to understand.
Di
Maria, if we're talking about the person in their prime season, Di Maria in his prime season to me is more valuable than a Luis Suarez in his prime season.
That is a debate. You just started a debate amongst the internet that's going to be lasting hours. But Ardi, before we move on here and you respond to me, do you know what time it is?
Oh, it is top of the hour on WMSC Upper Montclair.
And this is Matchweek. So you were saying...
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So just just sort of divulge for a second. Do you like my top of the hour? Like, do I do it smooth, or is it sort of like, is it annoying?
I don't hate it. It's just like, it's I wish you would say 90.3 WMSC, but like that's just me being nitpicky. You know,
Yeah,
I just always say the whole thing. That's just me because I don't know. I know all you have to say is WMSC, but I always just say 90.3. That's just me. It sounds nice. I mean, 90.3 WMSC sounds quality.
It does. But here's the thing, like right now we do have a lot of listeners in Europe actually listening. I just got a text message that we are actually live on a beach speaker. So while everyone's at the beach tanning and hanging out, we are blasting in the background talking
Shout
about
out
soccer.
Europe.
So
I mean, dude, I bet you just caused a debate on the beach in Europe right now by having. I like Di Maria, don't get me wrong, but over Suarez, ooh, that's got to be an episode.
I have 5 Liverpool fans hitting up my line saying, "How dare you just regular Suarez?" Oh well, is what it is. Don't care.
Here we
are.
are.
Besides the point, on to our next. We do have Bremer. Now Bremer is a day-on favorite, rightfully so. He was voted. He was voted Serie A player, defender of the season. Absolutely insane, great season, breakthrough season. With losing someone like Matthias de Ligt, bring someone like Bremer to replace him was actually great business from Juve. Like whoever is running the business end at Juventus for sporting director is doing a great job at this current moment.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Juve gets back to their winning ways. Always like to see them do good. And I just wish that they would have made these moves when Ronaldo was there. Maybe he doesn't leave and maybe they actually get somewhere.
But,
I said it. I said it.
But I've been of this like fact from the get-go that Ronaldo will never thrive at clubs like Juventus, like United at their current stage. Like he has to be at a Galactico type team like a PSG or even a Man City or even a Real Madrid. Those are the only 3 teams you will see Ronaldo thrive in his actual habitat because United are nowhere near close what they used to be, so they can't really facilitate that success for him.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about one of the biggest players. He deserves to be around one of the biggest teams playing at the highest level. But speaking of Juventus, we had a free transfer happen for a nice former Juventus player heading cross town to Roma.
Yeah, so Paulo Dybala surprisingly goes to AS Roma. It's confusing because Roma have a Tammy Abraham who has been absolutely phenomenal for them. He's had such a great season. I don't know if this was a Jose move. I doubt this was, but this doesn't feel like it fits. I didn't think Inter Milan. I think anywhere in Italy did not fit for Paulo Dybala, personally. The couple of destinations that I think he would have thrived more at is a Chelsea, is even Tottenham, or even going to Barcelona or Real Madrid. Like this move just doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like if Dybala would have ended up at like a Real Madrid, he would have ended up on loan the same way that you saw like Odegaard to Arsenal. I feel like he's a quality player. I just think he gets lost kind of in the mix of guys at times. And I think he could actually get some legitimate starting time at Roma.
Well, here's the thing. It's like Paulo Dybala, you're coming off as a free transfer now. You can go anywhere you want. And Real Madrid have a gaping hole at right wing where you could slot in and fill in so easily. Granted, it's not his preferred position, but some of his best seasons at Juventus was playing out wide at right with Mario Mandzukic in the middle. So imagine a front 3 of Vinicius, Dybala, and Benzema.
Yeah, it would be scary.
Yeah, Jonathan Chavarria would be loving this right now if Dybala had signed for Real. But you know what? It is what it is. We have to live with it. But I think it's a great move for Roma. I just don't think it makes sense for Paulo Dybala.
Fair enough. So you said that Chelsea. I just don't see him fitting in at like. I feel like Tottenham just has so much. Like the holes that they don't need are the ones up top, and Chelsea, especially with the Sterling signing, I don't know if that necessarily fits. It would be interesting to see for sure, though.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
So moving along here,
moving on. So this one is a surprise to me. I was not expecting him to leave Man City, nor was I expecting him to go to Arsenal. This is Zinchenko, someone who's been a solid squad player for Pep Guardiola. Obviously, his weakest position is playing left back. He is a central midfielder. We do expect more, but you know it is what it is. Zinchenko, I don't know where he fits in this Arsenal team personally.
Personally, I'm with you. I don't think he's going to be getting regular starts, to be honest. I see him as a sub he's a quality player, don't get me wrong. I like the guy. I think the whole world likes the guy, especially with all the recent events that's been going on with the whole Ukraine situation, but I just don't see him fitting in here at Arsenal.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's like what's it called?
Today, son.
I want to frame this like properly because I don't doubt his ability, and I don't think he's a super sub or a bench player in this Arsenal side. But as a midfield three, who do you play? Because you have Martin Odegaard. Zinchenko likes playing more of a box to box. They have what am I playing? Thomas Partey. They're bringing in other players for the midfield spot, so it's just really confusing.
Yeah, I just feel like it's just going to get mixed up, and they might have just too many guys within it, and I think it's going to be a hard time for their manager of who to go with. Personally, I go with an Odegaard over him. I go with a Partey over him, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
But
I Zinchenko, I think, is a good signing. I do believe it's a good signing for the club. They needed someone like him, especially Mikel Arteta, who's worked with him at Man City, so it's a familiar face. That's the thing, like a Jesus and a Zinchenko link up, I would not mind seeing.
I'm sure the Man City fans are going to be a little bitter when they do see it, but Arsenal is on the come up. I mean, this is a club who's honestly, I think they're making smart moves here, even though with the midfield possibly getting a little muddy, but they seem to be trending in the right direction. How confident are you with them finishing top four in the Prem next year?
It's a scary thought personally as a United fan. They're not the jokingly team they've been this past season or so. It's a scary thing. I'm gonna say that. I would not underestimate this team, unlike Besmir and Dayan and some of our fellow, co-hosts that come on the show. I do think they're gonna be a serious threat this year. Here's the thing. Like in my head, I already know two spots are automatically going to Liverpool and Man City. So, what's gonna happen with Chelsea? That we're still waiting on them getting more center backs. We're still waiting on to see what United can do under Ten Hag. We're still waiting to see what's gonna happen with Jesus at Arsenal, and is he really gonna go like in his like prime form? Darwin Nunez, we don't know what's happening there. Yep, thanks, Mom. Love you too. Blowing up my phone. Really appreciate you. But it's a big thing going on right now. It's a big thing.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you this, right? So obviously last year the top six in the Premier League went Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Manchester United. Out of those three, I think City with the acquisition of Haaland got even better. Liverpool picking up Darwin Nunez, even though they lost Sadio Mane, I think are still at the same level. I don't know if they necessarily got better, but I think they're still there. Chelsea seem to have gotten better. Do you think Tottenham got better?
Tottenham, this is a tough. Tottenham have brought in a lot of players. They used Basuma, a Perisic, a Richarlison. They've gotten rid of Bergwijn. They're really changing up the shape of this team.
And they just picked up Leglet.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's also a talking point coming up right now is a Lenglet from Barcelona. This again, like we just have to wait and see for what's going on because this is gonna be a spicy season. Like I hate judging seasons based off of only transfer windows alone, but everything looks like it's making sense for a lot of teams,
Yeah, no, for sure. So with the recent transfers, who do you think is looking better on paper right now? A Tottenham or a a Chelsea.
If we're talking about,
I'm sorry, Arsenal, a Tottenham or Arsenal. My bad.
yeah, Tottenham or Arsenal. I think I'm gonna have to say Tottenham. To be honest, I think Yves Bissouma, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and a lot of these other players make way more sense than a lot of what has been like shown for us. You know.
Definitely, I'm with you there. But
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tottenham. Like this might bite me in my behind coming up, but you know it is what it is. We're just gonna have to deal with it.
honestly,
There.
I like what you're saying, and I did disagree with you, but I don't know, man. I really think this Arsenal team is moving in the right direction.
Here's the thing: the only deciding factor that makes the tails like tip for me is that Arsenal have a Mikel Arteta who's still a newer manager, and Tottenham have a serial winner in Antonio Conte. You know, that's because I feel like both of their transfer business has been like equal to each other, but it's just the manager. I think the manager sells me better at Spurs. Like nothing to discredit Arteta for. I think he's had a great season for what he did with Arsenal, but I think more credit has to be given to Antonio Conte.
Fair enough. And then I believe, did we get to the Koulibaly Chelsea transfer?
No, we did not. So we can talk about that right now. So Amadou Koulibaly can cover Kane and Vardy. It's just there's a little cheeky meme from online, but Koulibaly is, I feel like 3 years too late for a Chelsea team.
Okay.
To be honest, he's 31. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but this was a signing that's been linked for the longest time that should have happened seasons ago, you know? And here's the thing. So this back line now in comparison to last season, I think they've downgraded a lot. And I think that's like not having a Christensen, not having a Rudiger. Granted, they have Mark Gahey back. So back three of Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and Gahey is really exciting for some fans. But I would have much rather have it been Gahey, Rudiger, and Thiago Silva. But, you know, Chelsea fans are just going to have to live with it. But it's a good signing. Chelsea need it. I think at this point they'll take any good center back for their team. Especially with having transfers like Koundé just going on and off again and supposedly Barcelona getting him. It's just a rough time of it.
Yeah, I think you summed that one up perfectly there. And last but not least here, I mean, we got to come back to your old love. Old Trafford has just signed Eriksen. How are you feeling?
So I dislike the arguments that people make of a guy with a heart condition. But a guy with a heart condition dominated the Premier League for 6 months and was able to show people what he can do in a Brentford side, you know? It's someone that I don't think is going to be a guaranteed starter. I think this is the signing you make because it's a World Cup year where the Premier League allows you to have 5 subs. You're allowed a 6th sub for concussion if anything happens. You're going to be playing a multitude of more games overlapping each other because there's going to be a big break in November, December for the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm so... How do I put this? I'm torn on it because I know he's a quality player. It's just... He is 30, which normally wouldn't scare me, but like I gotta be honest, the heart condition has me on watch. I think he's best used being in the rotation, not having to be the everyday starter, just so you can actually give him a break and make sure that he's still good.
At Brentford, you gotta understand, Brentford, he was every game starter.
Yeah,
like he wasn't getting really that many breaks. Whereas at United, he's gonna have time. Which is why I'm not too worried for him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I don't know. Like I said, the heart condition definitely has me scared. But as you said, he did do he was more than solid for 6 months last season for Brentford. I don't know, though. I feel like it's yet to be seen, and I don't want to judge it too pre-early, and I'm definitely being biased just because of the medical condition.
I mean, yeah, rightfully so. You have every right to be sort of concerned in that regard.
I mean, we're not talking about like a pulled hamstring here. I mean, we're talking about a heart condition at 30. And nothing against the guy. I mean, the fact that he hasn't hung up the boots. I mean, we saw, I'm pretty sure Sergio Aguero literally end his career for something similar. He went down on the pitch in the middle of an international game.
Well, I feel like there's a difference between like the heart arrhythmia that Aguero has in comparison to a Christensen, and especially because he has the pacemaker. He has like basically every game he has vitals built into him, tracking him to see what will happen. So there's preventive cautions being put in, and kudos to a lot of these professional teams, even still giving him that chance that he rightfully does deserve as being a quality player that he is.
Yeah, I'm with you. But Ardi, I believe that covers all the giant transfers that have happened.
Yes, that is all of our confirmed transfers done and dusted. I'm caught up on all of my business. Meanwhile, probably like 10 minutes ago, Fabrizio Romano was posted a here we go of some random to a random, it's
So where are we going now?
Now we are going to, I would like a drum roll, please, Mazz, if you can.
Where are we at?
There we go. You're tapping. Thank you. So we are going to the local love, a segment that has been raved about online. We are doing Ink or Stink.
Definitely gotta love it.
You gotta love the name, right? So for those of you who are listening for the first time, hello, how are you doing? But so Ink or Stink is basically a segment where we talk about either a club will ink a player, like they should put pen to paper, put the pen to the ink, and sign him. Or if there's a stinker and you should stay away. Like, he's just not good enough. Why is your club wasting your time on him? So, Mazz, I've sent you a list of transfers, rumors that are a possibility. Which one do you think is the better move?
Like, out of all of them that you sent me?
Like, so which one do you sort of want to like start with? Which one sort of excites you?
I want to start with the Martin Terrier to the possibility of West Ham because I'm excited for it.
Yes. So here's the thing. So you and I think we're the only one defending the Rennes boys on the Ligue 1 team of the season, and one of them is now leaving to go to West Ham.
Yeah, and not only, as you said, it's just one of them, but it's one that made a giant contribution last season.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The attacking three there at Rennes went off. A Jork, Terrier, and Beauregard were absolutely insane in Liga. They went crazy. And Terrier to West Ham makes sense because even though we love, on the show, Mikel Antonio gets all the praise he deserves, 110%. But you can't keep relying on him as your only solo striker. Like, they have no other striking options. They sometimes have to force Jared Bowen there through the middle, where honestly, I love seeing him play wide more. He's a way better creator out wide, and you trust him to be able to work there through that channel. So bringing in a striker, I think, makes sense.
Absolutely, especially a striker that's coming off a 21-goal season. Obviously, it was over in the French league, but still, I think this translates probably to at least 16 goals.
I mean, I say if he hits 12, it's a successful season for a West Ham striker.
Yeah,
especially because you know that he's going to get you a handful of assists as well, because that's what he did for that Rennes team. He was playing striker, he was playing left wing, he was interchanging with a Jork. It's a solid player, and I think it's someone that they'll benefit from highly, especially with the future of Declan Rice still unknown. Having another creator in that team, especially who can be at that at the front line, like the tip of your front line, will help tremendously.
Yeah, I'm definitely still pretty high on him. I just thought that the Rennes boys had such a good season, and it's not like listen, going to like a West Ham, there's not going to be much pressure. I feel like I think he's going to be pretty comfortable, and I think they're going to be looking to use him even more so than his previous team did. I'm really excited for this one.
I mean, speaking of West Ham, we do have to talk about. I mean, we're in Albania, so it sort of makes sense that we have to talk about. Broha from Chelsea is supposedly reported to go to West Ham as well. I here's the thing. So with supposedly having what's his name? He's the Algerian winger for West Ham.
I know exactly who you talk about.
He has like he had the bleached hair, but it was like a buzz cut. Why am I blanking? Because he's supposedly leaving to go back to Brentford. He came from Brentford. Saeed Ben Rama. There we go.
Thank you.
Saeed Ben Rama. He is supposedly leaving, and I don't. They really don't have that many other options for width besides Jared Bowen, and Niko Vlasic is supposedly leaving now, because he just hasn't hit the ground running. He's not really fitting into the West Ham team like how they expected to. He wasn't really that like for like replacement for Jesse Lingard from 2 seasons prior. So it's a tough option for them, but I mean,
are you confident that Broha could be the guy that they need though?
That's the thing, because we discussed this earlier. Broha, I think, what got too overhyped halfway through the season, and then he started underperforming. He's still a young player. I think that's one of the biggest issues with the Premier League is that as soon as someone has a decent season, they get overhyped, and it's sort of like jinxing them in a way. You have to give them time to adjust and figure themselves out, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a 20-year-old who's coming off 6 goals at 20 years old in the hardest league in the world. There's definitely going to be hype behind you. I just think he needs to weather the storm.
Here's the thing, especially playing for like a struggling Southampton side, it's really tough, you know.
For sure. So, I mean, I think the move to West Ham could be quality there. I just think he just needs to weather the storm of hype and just get back to what he's been doing, what got him here. He's going to be completely fine.
Oh, yeah, of course, 100%.
Now, if he gets caught up in the lights, then everything I just said just went out the window.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's like, how do I say it? I'm trying to think of the right word. He's Albanian, so he's gonna be fine. I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
I'm just joking. But here's the thing. If he's not gonna be the only Albanian now in the Premier League, with a Thomas Strakosha now being confirmed to going to Brentford. I know that's not one I have on the list for Inkerstink, but still, I wanted to talk about my Albanians because it's my show. Dejan's not here to give his Serbian propaganda, so we're gonna give him a shout out because why not?
His Serbian propaganda. Shout out Dejan.
Honestly, facts.
But
anyway, so from there we have Bernd Leno to Fulham. Now, I think Bernd Leno, Bayer Leverkusen, Bernd Leno was a sensational goalkeeper. Bernd Leno for his first season and a half, 2 seasons at Arsenal was great. I think it's sort of unfair to him because as soon as Arsenal finally start getting good defenders for him, they start replacing him out with Ramsdale. And don't get me wrong, Ramsdale is phenomenal. And now they've also brought in Matt Turner, who was one of the top goalkeepers in the MLS. I think it does give him a rough time, and he does deserve to be a starting goalkeeper somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see him on the move, and going to a Fulham would be just fine, especially at the age that he's at. I believe he's around 30 years old. You don't want to, you want to start seeing regular football. You know what I mean? Especially with the names that you just brought in. I personally watched like a lot of Matt Turner in the MLS. As you know, I'm a big MLS advocate, and he just came off that great season with the Revolution. I think this Fulham move is just fine. It's a solid. You're getting a solid veteran. You know, it's not necessarily. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's like a sexy move, you know, but it's a good move for Fulham.
I think it's the perfect move, bringing in a solid goalkeeper like him, because Fulham's last time around, they were saved from not being tortured even more with having Alfonso Areola in goal. Mm-hmm. So now bringing in like a Bernd Leno who will give you some security if you aren't able to strengthen that back line, I think is a good thing to be doing, and it's a smart thing to be doing from a Fulham. But I think Fulham is in here for some big business because they want to bring in a Kevin Mbabu from Wolfsburg. Now, he's someone that is rated highly in the ball knowledge football community, but when it comes to research scouts and scouting networks of professional clubs, he just gets overlooked for no reason whatsoever. And the fact that if a Fulham might be able to sweep him up, I think it's going to bring so much security and so much strength to that team, because I think he's going to have the same effect as a Cornet did at Burnley, and that was someone who was definitely way too good for Burnley's stature.
Yeah, I just think this guy just has such a good motor. 27 years old. I've seen him play for Switzerland. He's a solid signing, and I think a team like Fulham could really benefit from bringing him in.
So I think we forgetting to say our keywords, but for Terrier, that's an ink. Broha, I think, is an ink. Bernd Leno is an ink. And Mazz, are we on the ink train here? I think the fee is the. Here's the thing. I think the only thing is the fee might be an issue here. If they have to pay more than 30-40 million for him, then I think it's definitely going to be a stink. But if they get him under that 40 million mark, it's 100%.
I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think under 40 million, I absolutely love the signing. If you don't overpay, I mean, anything more than that, it's okay. You're spending too much.
Meanwhile, here we're talking about British pounds of 40 million. So
yeah, so you're talking like almost 60.
Yeah, you're talking about $60 million. If it's more than $60 million, then there's a problem there. Next is Harry Winks to Everton. Now, if you're in Everton, I would be a little bit concerned because you've lost to Richarlison. Donny van de Beek has gone back to Manchester United from loan. I think this is the first stink we have in this list. I think Harry Winks to Everton is a big stink, 110%. He's not good enough for Tottenham, and I don't think he's good enough for an Everton.
I'm going to be honest. I think you're being nice about it. This is... I hate the move. I'm not a fan. What are you really going to get out of him? Couldn't make it at Tottenham. I don't think he's going to make it out at Everton. This is my first stink all the way.
You see, like, I sadly put him in the same category as Scott McTominay. He's someone who can thrive as a bench player, but he's not... Like, McTominay can be a Premier League starter at Everton, but Harry Winks just can't.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Scotty McTominay and Winks, if I never saw them again, it'd be too soon.
I mean...
I don't think Scotty McTominay could be a starter at Everton. I think you're right with him and Winks being the same kind of guy. Just McTominay's younger.
Here's the guy I understand. If West Ham loses Declan Rice, someone playing that number 8 role as a secondary CDM, I can see McTominay filling that role because every time he's had a good Manchester United performance, he's been playing it. He played as a box-to-box. He plays as a more progressive midfielder. I think that's been the biggest issue with this McFred relationship is that people see them as two deep-lying CDMs when that's not the case. Fred, when he was playing it was Shakhtar Donetsk, if I'm not mistaken. He was playing as a number 10. He was playing as a box-to-box. He's a forward player. He's an attacker. McTominay playing in the youth academy. Yeah, he was playing in a double pivot, but he was primarily in number 8, playing box-to-box. Like, some of his best moments for Manchester United have been some of the screamers he's scored for the team. Like, it's clearly shown that he has to be a progressive footballer. He has to be playing up the field. He's not a deep-lying player.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know, man. Both of them, I feel like that might be a little of the United bias coming out in you.
No, however, that's me being perfectly honest because I think, for example, someone like a Billy Gilmore is someone who's 10 times better than a Scott McTominay, and he's a Chelsea product, and he's Scottish. He's someone who has gotten man of the match in 4 of his debuts for Chelsea. Like, that's someone who plays the exact same role as McTominay, who's better, who plays for an opposing club, who I despise, by the way. So that's just me being blunt with the facts and being honest.
Fair enough, but
unlike Besmir, Chelsea propaganda.
Hey, listen, we all have our biasness here at times. Shout out Bez. But we're both on the Harry Winks stinks status, right?
This is a big stinker for Everton if they sign him.
Got you. Now, I mean, we got to let it go Madrid.
Yeah, we have Mukiele to Atletico. Now, Mukiele, is someone who plays as like a right back or slash center back for Leipzig. And to be honest, I think this is the one position at Atletico that's been like a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Like rotating between Schalke. It would what's the Colombian guy's name that ended up going to Granada? Starts with an A, I think.
Yeah, you lost me on that one. I have not. I wish Bez was here because I know he'd know.
No, Dayon would know, and Dayon would be very disappointed in me if I don't figure out his name. I know what starts with an A. This is like the Ben Rahman. I'm like blanking on it. Granada.
Who are you looking for?
Granada Football Club based out of Liga. The right back. He's a Colombian right back.
Anybody out there? Somebody please send Ardi a text and save him right now.
Oh my God! Wait, no, he's back at Atletico now, so I have to search Atletico Madrid. Oh my God!
And here we are on 90.3 WMSC and Mazz. Nope, no, we're not. We're here with
Arias. There we go. Finally, he was the guy from Bayer Leverkusen. His name is Santiago Arias. He's a right back. And bringing in someone like Mukiele to replace that position for him, I think, is a big W, especially when they only have two left back options in Ronaldo and Renan Lodi. And then you really just only have a host of center backs. You really don't have anyone for that right flank. So I think Mukiele is a 100% ink. I think he's someone who could make that team way more dynamic than it is.
Yeah, it's definitely an ink for me. You're talking about a player that not like you get versatility with him, especially when they need defense. And the fact that you can plug him in to multiple, and he's coming from Leipzig, who's not no slouch of a club, and usually their guys do pretty well. So I like it. It's an ink for me.
Yeah. So then next after Mukiele, we have Cavani to Villarreal. Now he's going on a free transfer. This is sort of a weird move because I think it's a good move for him, but also Villarreal have a host of attacking talent. So I'm just curious where he legitimately fits in this team,
For me, it's an ink just because I know he's older, but getting Cavani on the free, I mean, why not? It's somebody that you can just use as a super sub. He gets the job done when he's usually there. And him not having, because they have so many options to go with, and he doesn't have to be like your main guy at this age, I absolutely love that he's going to have that time to get the rest that he needs and come and make an impact most needed. It's definitely an ink for me. Mostly because it's a free.
Yeah, of course. I think it's ink. It's just a weird move for me personally. Because I could have seen him, to be all honest. He could have gone to any host of club and being a backup player, I could have seen him gone to a Bayern and being a backup to Sadio Mane. I could have seen him going to Real being a backup to Benzema. I could have seen him going to any Premier League club and being either a starter for the bottom 10 or being a super sub for the top 10 teams, He could have even gone to the Bundesliga, Serie A. He could have gone back to Napoli. Him and Osimhen would have linked up so well. That's why this Villarreal move sort of confuses me a bit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a guy who was linked with the MLS for a little bit there, and the fact that he's still playing at a high level, I mean, I like to see it. I don't know if Bayern necessarily would have wanted him. However, everybody else that you just named, I could definitely see the interest there. However, I'm assuming this came down to wages.
I'm not gonna lie. Edison Cavani to Red Bulls should have happened. I changed my mind. I don't know why that didn't happen. It should have happened. New York Red Bulls, we need a striker.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just at that game, and you definitely need all they're missing is somebody to just bang it in the back of the net.
Because I watched them in the first Derby game in the U.S. Open Cup, and their pressing system is second to none at the moment in the MLS. They're playing such a high press, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you're seeing them in the third slot of the Eastern Conference. If they could just get somebody like an Edison Cavani in there, they'll be fine. It might actually even get
yeah.
them over the hump. They might actually be able to win the whole thing if they get somebody to bang it in the back of the net.
It was the same thing like when Thierry Henry came. Like they were a solid team, just missing that sting. And as soon as you bring someone like a Thierry Henry, someone who's like one of the best players to play in the game, it's groundbreaking. You know, it really is a big change. But anywho, that's Edson Cavani. He's gone from Manchester United. Oh well. And speaking about another Manchester United rumor, this one I like, but I don't like at the same time.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Akanji move.
Yes, so Akanji I think is a world-class player for Dortmund. I'm just worried that United might ruin him, to be honest.
At least you're honest about it.
Like, don't get me wrong, like I trust Eric Ten Hag, but I don't trust Manchester United because I feel like every manager that goes to Manchester United just like starts becoming a different person. Like they start getting like split personality disorder. I don't know what it is.
Do you think it's the pressure from the board?
I don't know what it is because United is just a mess at the moment, and I talked about it in the Dear Manchester United video and audio. So if you want to hear my opinion about Manchester United, you can go check it out. If not, you don't have to see it. It's fine. I don't low-key don't blame you. But yeah, Akanji, I think is a great move for United. Like imagine having a back two of, or even a back three of Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane, and Akanji. I think would just be great. And then maybe even like let's say we want Lisandro starting in the midfield, having a back three of Bailly, Varane, and Akanji is great. Or even Bailly, Lindelof, and Akanji is great, you know?
I'm just going to be honest with you. It's an ink for me just because Manchester United needs all the help on defense they can get. De Gea's just been out there on the island for too long. Get some help in the back line. Anybody will do. Somebody that's not a refrigerator like Harry Maguire.
Exactly. Slabhead out, Akanji in. If we could do a trade deal for him, that'd be great. Just imagine like Dortmund, we'll give you Harry Maguire, but you give us Akanji, and we'll give you also $50 million on top of that.
You're gonna pay them to take Maguire off your hands.
No, legitimately, this isn't gonna be a transfer where we get Akanji. We're gonna give them $50 million to take Harry Maguire.
I mean, I'm all for it if I'm you.
Oh my god, I think anyone's for it. But
speaking of $50 million. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I think it's a ink. It's just a stink if the club ruins him. To be honest.
Fair enough. I'm with you. Just as I said, ink all day. They just need somebody. Speaking of $50 million, that's big money to me. And when I think of big money, I think of PSG.
Yeah. So Dan Juma to PSG. Now, Dan Juma is someone who was playing in the championship for Bournemouth and was someone who, if you were someone like Dayan or Besmir who have good ball knowledge, you would know that why is someone of his quality playing at Bournemouth for a championship side. And then when we see him go to Villarreal, we see a player just absolutely thrive. Someone who was able to upset Bayern, who gave challenge to Liverpool. This is a class player, and if they lose out on someone like Neymar who wants to leave, and then you bring your PSG is also bringing in a player of Hugo Ekitike's standard, who has been absolutely class as well. Like this is for once in a while a smart transfer coming in from PSG. Granted, last year was a whole bunch of smart transfers, but they didn't really work out well, so it was a big problem. But I think Danjuma is in ink on ink on ink, without a doubt.
You're actually gonna call me crazy here. I think just because it's PSG, it's gonna be a stink for me. They have too much talent, and I feel like they're gonna ruin them, honestly, because I feel like not everybody can live up to it. There's just way too much talent. I would love to see him go to another club that he could legitimately, this is a guy who could be a centerpiece, and. Yeah, I just think that there's just too much going on there. So just because it's PSG, it's a stink for me.
Yeah, I hear your point there. It's just the fact of you don't know what's going on with certain players. And when you have someone like Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi struggle in the Champions League, and you have someone like Danjuma who did what he did in the Champions League, I think I would take the punt on him and even have the cojones to tell one of the front three, you're going to have to play as a number 10 this season just to make space for Danjuma, you know?
Fair enough. I mean, I just don't see them. It's going to be so hard. Everybody wants to be the star. I mean, I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I just don't know if they could necessarily get the job done, and I don't want to see this guy get lost in the sauce.
Mbappe is the star. He got the contract that shows that he is a star of that club. You listen to him, okay? There's Galtier, the manager, who just signed, but also Mbappe is the assistant manager, so you got to make sure you listen to him as well.
Fair enough. You know, so, I mean, I think that's the first one that we disagreed on. But we were both with, I mean, we know the quality of player that he is.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You have the same concern as I do with seeing a Akanji going to United, and then it's vice versa for you for seeing a Danjuma go to PSG. So I understand your point of view.
Absolutely. Moving on here. Where are we?
Mazz,
what's up?
Can someone take Pau Torres, please? I don't understand why Pau Torres has been linked to every single club under the sun. Why has no one signed him yet?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have absolutely no clue why he hasn't been on the move. I mean, he's 25 years old. All the potential is there. I mean, not even potential. You've seen him. What don't they want? I have no clue. I just don't get it. Is it because
Chelsea's desperate for a center back? They can't get him. United's desperate for center back. Can't get him. Barcelona want him. Can't get him. Real's offering to get him. Can't. Like, every top club is in for him and offering money, but the Real's just saying no. And you know what? Kudos to them for not wanting to get rid of a player they know is quality. But at the same time, it's like how has he just not gone already, you know, with someone with that talent?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that they're coming in a little on the cheaper side of things, and Villarreal knows what they have. I'm assuming. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, honestly. Because how many times do you see teams at a Villarreal level where it's like, you know, they're towards the, I guess you could say, like the upper echelon of like La Liga, but like they're not gonna win the thing. You know, so I don't know.
I mean, especially if they lose a Danjuma. Like, granted, they brought in a Cavani, but I don't know. They want to. Well, I mean, they want to bring in someone like a Cavani, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do.
I guess they have to believe that they're making a push for La Liga. I don't see it getting done, and
I don't think they're thinking about Liga. I think they're thinking about Champions League.
Fair, but
like,
even so. Go ahead.
Like, to be able to have the ability of go like foot to foot with Liverpool, knocking out a Bayern, knocking out Manchester United. Like, granted, we weren't the greatest team, but still, we had a Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, like, I think they believe in that future there because Villarreal has always strived for more of the European competitions, as we've seen them going all the way for Europa League, going to. Because, granted, the only person that's beat them to Europa League is Sevilla every time. So I think they sort of want that footing in Europe, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I got to give it to them just for having the willpower to hang on to him. They have to believe in themselves 100%. I'm not sold on it, but I do got to give props there. So,
100.
I just don't want to see the kid necessarily get wasted. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. Agreed. Now next, Memphis Depay. Now the two clubs he's rumored to is either Spurs or Arsenal.
Either way, it's an ink for me.
I think either way, it makes no sense for the player. I think it's a stink. I think Memphis Depay, if he goes to a club, he has to be at a club where he's a guaranteed starter. And I don't see him guaranteeingly start over a Gabby Jesus, over a Harry Kane, over a Richarlison, over a Bukayo Saka, over Martinelli or a Heung-min Son, a Kulusevski. There's way too much competition in either of those teams for him to be getting the start he deserves. And if I'm perfectly honest, this is more so a Chelsea transfer. Maybe I don't know why a club like Chelsea hasn't gotten in for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I understand the concerns, and for the clubs, for me, I mean, this is a player of tremendous talent. I mean, just seeing what he does at the international and the club side, I mean, he has been basically the face of young talent, I feel like, for a while. And obviously, I mean, he's no child anymore. But this is a guy where you're adding depth and can be like 100% should be a starter. I have no I think he actually outbeats those guys and becomes the everyday starter, and that they become the super subs.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, but you're talking about a Harry Kane, right? Who is probably one of the, besides Lewandowski, is one of the greatest strikers in the world. You have a Richarlison who is sort of on the same level as Depay, but yet Depay is a better talent, in my opinion. And
I'm with you.
You also have a Heung-min Son who tied for the Golden Boot, where he scored, I think, a majority of his chances on his weak foot too. Like, so it wasn't even like he was on his dominant side for everything. Like, he is just a phenomenal player. Like, this is the competition we're having. We're having Bukayo Saka, who's only 20 years old, but has been a guaranteed starter for the past 3 seasons for Arsenal. Like, there's no jokes here. Like, this is some serious competition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I don't know. I just feel like Memphis is just at that level. And
to be honest, I would have loved to see him go back to Manchester United, but I just think that bridge is burned, sadly. Because to have someone to be sort of second fiddle to Ronaldo, to be sort of like that forward option for us would be great, because then him in around the team with Anthony Martial, a Jadon Sancho, a Marcus Rashford, a Bruno Fernandes, I think he would have suited us so well. No. But sadly, he has that tarnished past with the club.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think Depay could. I'm with you, but I think he would fit in. I mean, moving him out to a wing, I don't see why it wouldn't work.
But, it is what it is. Memphis Depay, I think it's a stink if it's Spurs or Arsenal.
Like I said, I'm actually liking. I think he lives up to the moment. I think he can become the starter. I think it's an ink, and maybe I'm putting a lot of stock in him, but I just think he's that quality of player. And when you can acquire that kind of talent, you have to do it, and then you just figure out what to do afterwards.
Agreed. Now, last but not least, this guy is actually like one of the biggest memes in football, and that is Martin Braithwaite of Barcelona going to a Fulham. Now, at first when I was reviewing this transfer, I'm like, why are we even going to talk about this on the show? I think it's sort of one that's like there for the jokes, but in actuality, I could see him having like a 12 goals, 3 assists, or like 9 goals and or a 9 assists and 4 goal type season. Like, he's actually a solid player, and we see how solid he is for Denmark, and we see what he's done for Barcelona time and time again. I think this is actually ink for Fulham.
I think it's
I think it's ink.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, just anybody that can find the back of the net, especially when you are at the level of a Fulham, I'm for it. If I'm Braithwaite, I'm looking for slightly bigger competition, but I don't know if he's at that level anymore.
Well, here's the thing, Mazz. We're talking about a Fulham team where they had Mitrovic break the championship record for most goals scored in a season. And Mitrovic, I think, is a player who is quality, and Dejan would love us talking about him because he's Serbian, but someone who's quality, who could start for any team in the Prem. And do we think that, like, in my head, I see Martin Braithwaite as someone who can help elevate him. Do you think he can help elevate him, or do you think is this just like a joke signing?
I'm always. I mean, listen, he is Braithwaite. I believe is like 31ish. I definitely think having the seasoned veteran there is always good. I like it, to be honest with you. I'm very big on the younger guys learning. I mean, you hear guys talk about it. Like back in the day, they used to actually listen to the seasoned vets there. That's how these big guys, like the Messi, the Ronaldos, the Lewandowskis, like that's how they got to where they're at. Yeah. I think we need to cherish these kind of guys more.
Yeah, without a doubt. I hear you on that one. That's why I think it's ink. I think you think it's ink.
I think it's an ink. And even if he doesn't necessarily do much on the pitch, I mean, just for the club culture, I think it's a good locker room guy.
Yeah, but also it's sort of like that Giroud at the World Cup. Like, Giroud didn't get a single goal involvement, but exactly. He was so pitch for France. So I hear what you're saying.
Dude, he reminds me so much of Giroud, to be honest with you. Just like that box kind of guy.
Yep. Yeah, but like Giroud's like, high key handsome, bro. Like that guy should have been a model, not a footballer, bro.
You're not wrong, but he's made a solid career as being a footballer, and I'm pretty sure he has a World Cup to show for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that. Like that's the point I'm making. It's crazy, but yes,
yeah, I
guys,
wish
so
I
we're
had
gonna
that
wrap
hair,
up.
dude. I mean, I'm 24 with this receding hairline, and Oliver Giroud's just out there not aging like a fine wine in a full head of hair that's just luscious.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
Kind of hair. In high school, I used to have that kind of hair.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
yeah. No, I never had that kind of hair.
But guys, just to wrap up talking about the show, the Premier League starts in 16 days. August 5th is when the first game occurs.
How excited are you?
This is probably the earliest start we've ever seen for a Premier League ever, and I think that's because of the World Cup.
I think there's no other reason besides the World Cup.
Well, here's the thing. This is going to be an interesting one for me because this is my first time watching a Premier League game live in Europe. So I want to see how the locals sort of like take to watching games over
Who
here,
are you
know?
going to see?
I don't know which pub or bar I'm going to, but I'll figure it out when the time comes. I think because Besmer is going to be here with me.
Oh, fair enough,
it's
fair enough. So, I mean,
So we'll be figuring it out, see where we're going to be.
so Ardi, let's give a little predictions here. I mean, who do you expect?
Nope.
You can't give it?
No.
You can't even give me one.
Mazz, you have to understand. We had a competition of who would get the most right when the end of the season came around in the winter.
Yep.
And what happens is that every time I shoot myself in the foot with Manchester United. So just to make sure, I think we'll do a separate episode for this. But just to make sure I don't ruin it for myself, I am going to abstain from making any comments about Premier League predictions for now.
Fair enough. And I can't blame you, because just remember, Mazz won the Premier League table last year.
Okay, I would have won by like 6 or 7 points if I didn't mess up the one pick. Let's make this very clear.
I mean, Ardi, yes, but it's that one pick that got you. And I'm out here. I mean, let's be honest, dude. I ran the top 6. Who does that?
I mean, yeah, that is.
Give me some credit.
That is a very credit. I give credit where credit is due. But who can guess the majority of the teams?
Oh
from
no,
seventh to
I'm gonna be honest with you. You got me on the entire thing. I had a magical moment. I don't think I repeated. That is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But guess what? I did it. I'm clutch. I'm out here.
But here's the thing: I have to give credit where credit is due because you were the first person to call out anything for Tottenham in top 4 before anybody ever was. That's where I have to give credit.
I appreciate it because I'm going to be honest. I think they dropped this year.
I mean, we'll see Tottenham. I think Tottenham has a chance, but
Oh, here
guys,
we go, hitting them with the little predictions here.
But guys, that's the only prediction I'm making. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much for tuning in for this sort of different type of episode. There was no main topic. There was no main shtick here. It was just me and Mazz covering some recaps, discussing some moves, some big money moves, and just having a little fun for this one. Giving a little BTS for a prior episode, which was a very hectic but very fun and very heartwarming one. So
Bing bang.
I'm not suggesting anything, but if you want, Mazz is going to be here for another 2 hours on the station talking about every other sport but the world's favorite sport. So
Hey, we're out
we'll
here,
see
bro.
what happens.
And Mazz in the midday coming up. If you want to stick around, that's on you. We truly appreciate it here. We are entering hour number 3 of Mazz. Here we are. And this is... Go ahead, Ardi.
You're listening top of the hour on WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Matchweek.
I think that's it.
Mazz waiting.
That's it. That's
No,
where
Mazz,
we're at.
I'm waiting for you. Yeah, you got a feeling for John. Yeah.
Yes. Match week.
Thank you, guys. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day. My day's nearly over here. It is 6 o'clock by me, but it's bright and early in the morning for you guys. So I'll see you later. I love you. Have a good one.
Ardi, I love you. You have a good one.